America is the new Rome. Before I begin this video, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostle elders of the Greatmillstone, who rule well and teach well, and honors to you brothers all across the four corners of the earth who are risking your lives and your freedom to push this word out, okay, and to seal the hopeful elect of Israel. It says, decline and fall, what DT can learn from the Roman emperors. Look at this guy. That's E. Sleazy E, and this is a representation of emperor of Rome, probably from some movie. It says a lot of men have probably wished for 4 more years, a little under that after assuming absolute power. Gaius Caesar was dead, assassinated by the men who were paid to protect him. We more usually know him as Caligula, a man who revealed himself to be every kind of monster soon after becoming emperor of Rome. It probably wasn't his depravity that did for Caligula, however. If our sources are to be believed, sexual deviance was pretty much par for Roman emperors. Abusing so much power must have been irresistible. Perhaps the reasoning was that when you're a star, they let you do it. So yeah, he was into all sorts of shit. It says the real problem for the men surrounding him was his unpredictability. Yeah, and that's because he saw, hey man, you walk into the room, you don't know what E got going on, man. E doing all sorts of wickedness, man. So so you already know, with him being basically in the top governmental position at the time, he's doing all sorts of stuff. Because during them times, that was during the times where people like him had true what you call diplomatic immunity, which you have that now, but back then, there was no paparazzi, and things like that, which there was paparazzi through the spirit, but there wasn't like phone cameras and CCTV and things like that. Anyways, it says at the time of his death, he was pondering giving high political office to Incitatus, his favorite horse. So he was mad. As the imperial biographer Suetonius tells us, Caligula was fond of teasing the chief of the Praetorian Guard, a man named Cassius Chaerea, and Chaerea eventually bit back, stabbing Gaius in the neck. Other guards piled in, and Gaius was soon dead of multiple stab wounds. More bodyguards then appeared on the scene and killed some of the assassins and various innocent bystanders. When an autocrat goes down, it seems the damage can be indiscriminate. Slakia. Caligula's habit of issuing deceitful communications meant many people didn't believe it when his death was announced. Yes, so that's E. That's sleazy E, man. He was on so much bullshit that when he finally did die, all right, they was like, I don't know if he's really dead. Okay, let's continue. Let's see if I can find what I was looking for. I'm gonna just stick with this point. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. So yeah, that beast, which is going into this basically Esau Edom's whole system, right? That was wounded during the time of the Roman Empire, right? And when it became the Holy Roman Empire, that was basically that was Jacob. Okay, and after that left. Okay, it basically came back as America, and that's that deadly wound that was healed. Because hey man, Roman Catholicism has billions of followers, right? Like over a billion. And that's basically like the three biggest religions here on the earth. You got so-called Christianity, right? That's plantation Christianity, which is really like a Edomite superiority campaign. Then you got the Roman Catholics, which once again that's a Edomite superiority campaign. And then you got Islam, which ultimately is a Edomite superiority campaign also, but they put the face of it as a as an Ishmaelite, but really Esau running that too. Verse 4, they worship the dragon, which is Esau, which gave power unto the beast, which in now's time is NATO, the EU. Okay, it says, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? So it was just like back then. Back then, everybody. That's one of the reasons why Rome took over the whole world, was that corrupt communication. Everybody thought that Rome couldn't be defeated. People would hear all these great grand stories about the soldiers, can't die, and they're the greatest military minds. The same way about America, right? That's why it's really all a big flex. That was their best weapon, was to flex. See, because when you look at Caligula, all he did was talk shit. Right, so they would believe the things that he said, just like here and now. Everybody believes that America is this great military. Living here, particularly where I live, right? I'm literally 10 minutes away from a military base. Hey, most of these guys in the military, they drink, they turn up. They're not really warfare minded. Just like back then, a lot of the centurions, right? Like these modern day police, they just turn up, man. When they get off of work, they got a 24 pack in the trunk. They ready to go home, man. A lot of them, just chill with the boys, quote unquote. So they're not these great men that you think they are. They're just average people, right? Yet, you believe that okay, they're these super soldiers. They're here to protect the country and all that. Hell no. Most of them just see being a policeman or being a soldier or being a civilian contractor. They just see it as a job, all right, just to get paid. Especially, hey man, a lot of these guys that are in the Air Force, they just chill. They play video games. They hang out with their other Air Force buddies. That's it. They're not. The spirit isn't on them to be patriotic, man. Especially now. But anyways, verse 5. And it was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. So, through the legislation, through the media. Okay. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So a certain amount of time, right? And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Yahweh, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, which is the men, right? And them that dwell in heaven. Okay, which really is the children of Israel. All right, it says, verse 7, it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. All right, so Esau Edom has a power over the whole world, right? Over all kindreds, all tongues, all nations. If you want to go into space, you got to go through Esau Edom. If you want to start a business, you got to go through Esau Edom. If you want to have a child here and be a part of this world, you got to go through Esau Edom. Okay, everything that you do here, you have to go through E. Okay, let me go back to this article. It says, intriguingly, the emperor's habit of issuing erratic and deceitful communications meant that many people didn't believe it when the news of his death was announced. They thought it must be a story Caligula had released himself to find out what people thought of him. The assumption of falsehood had been embedded into Roman society in a surprisingly short time. You could judge the conditions of the times from this, Suetonius adds rather warily. The last few weeks in U.S. politics have looked to a classist on the other side of the Atlantic like an unnervingly similar story wearing golfing clothes instead of a toga. So he's comparing Rome to America. He says, how do you remove the most powerful man in the world from the position that bestows that power on him if he doesn't want to lose it? The U.S. Constitution is full of checks and balances to make sure a president isn't a king and that his power has limits. But that is how the Roman Principate began too. The Romans were, and the Romans really were Edomites. It says the Romans were at least as averse to the idea of kings as were the founding fathers, escaping the clutches of mad King George. They considered the very notion of kings to be suspect. Which the founding fathers were suspect, man. Founding fathers were sodomites, witches, warlocks, sorcerers, whoremongers. I mean, everything, man. Everything you can think of. It says, which is why they had a proud republic. Yeah, proud. Yeah, proud as hell. But during the 1st century BC, the fissures in their systems of governance became clear. If a power structure is pyramidal, right, which goes back to a pyramid, when you look at a pyramid, the base level has the most bricks. You know what I mean? And as you get higher to the top, there's less and less bricks, which really is the people. See, on the bottom of the pyramid, you got the children of Israel. Then around the middle, you know what I mean, you got the other nations. And then all the way at the top, you know, you got Esau, Edom. And then at the very, very top, you got Amalek, the chief house of Edom. And then right above that is that eye, man. And guess whose eye that is, man? That's Satan's eye. Okay, the spiritual demon Satan, which embodies the red Hebrew Edomite, man. That when you look on the back of the dollar, that eyeball that you're seeing, that's Satan. You looking directly at Satan's eyeball. Okay? You can tell just by looking at it through the spirit. You can see that's an Edomite eyeball right there. He's chilling on top of the pyramid. What the fuck is that doing on the money, man? All right, excuse my language, but what the fuck is that doing? What the fuck is that doing on the back of a dollar bill? Now that's suspect, man. That is suspect. All right. Anyways, it says if a power structure is pyramidal, and people worship money. They say money is my god. You know what I mean? Yeah, I pray to the money. That's niggas, right? 2/3 of Israel, and also Esau, Edom. But we're speaking about 2/3 of Israel, right? It says a power structure. So the whole power structure of America was built based on slavery, right? And then it was built upon money, pieces of paper. You know, that's where the power is. Just pieces of paper being printed. You know, anyways, it says you end up with a lot of people believing they have a right to the top job because they're as qualified as the next guy who happens to get it. Stable government collapsed into civil war. That sounds oddly familiar to what's about to happen here. Julius Caesar grabbed power, but was seen as a dictator, veering into dangerously king-like territory. The Ides of March in 44 BC saw him stabbed to death on the steps of a theater. Caesar's successor, Augustus, which that's where the month August is named after. You got August, July, named after Julius Caesar, so on and so forth. October, right? Named after Octavius, either one. I can't really recall. I believe It's Octavian, all right? But it says, but he was a great deal more cunning about his marketing. Slakia, let me read the rest of that. It says Augustus was exactly as ambitious as his adoptive father, which he was also a Edomite, but he was a great deal more cunning about his marketing. Rather than be seen to be accruing more and more power, Augustus presented himself as holding no unprecedented power. He merely held all available political posts at once. He was, so the saying went, primus inter pares, which is Latin, right? First among equals. So he came like how the serpent came to Eve, right? Yeah, I'm this average guy. I'm just like you. And see that's the premise, and that's the modus operandi. That's the mode of operation for these political leaders. Oh, I'm just like you. I'm just like the average man, right? You got Sleepy Joe. He continues to say, "Oh, I'm like the average guy," right? You got DJT saying the same thing. Yeah, and I'm not much different from y'all. They have always tried to consider themselves to be quote unquote regular. How does a guy with $1 billion in his bank account know what's going on with somebody who's living check to check? Some of us having to not use our car, not because we can't, but because we don't want to use the gas up in there, man. You gotta wait to use the gas for certain moments. You can't just drive around. Not like man. E be going here, there. E go to Texas, then he drive to see his family in Delaware. Then he go over to damn South Dakota because he's bored. You know, this damn devil, and that's one of the characteristics of this devil. He want to go everywhere. Okay, but why don't he travel his ass on down to the mountains of Georgia, Russia? Why don't he go to Mount Petra? Why don't he go to the Caucasus Mountains somewhere? That's his home. Okay, it says primus inter pares, first among equals. Right, so primus, first, inter, among, pares, equals. So when you parallel park, when you look at something that's parallel, two lines that are parallel are equal, right? Then you got horizontal. It says, and the republic had morphed into an empire. Augustus was a popular man and a popular emperor, but not every emperor was so lucky. And when Caligula took on the role in AD 37, our sources suggest things went from bad to worse. Orderant dum metuant. Suetonius quotes him as saying, "Let them hate me as long as they fear me." Caligula was killed because there was no other way of removing him from power. So orderant, right, probably goes into order. Dumb metuant. All right, which I don't know what dumb metuant means, but something about order, which that's what Esau's all about. He's all about order. Okay. It says, whereas we can and do vote out our unwanted leaders today. But what happens when, and there's no such thing as that, your vote don't count. All right, but what happens when someone refuses to acknowledge that their popular support was ebbed away? When they have lost the votes they relied on to stay in power, but failed to make way for their replacement. What is the difference then between an elected president and an unelected dictator? Oh man, that's deep. That's deep because the apostle elders have been saying for so long, right, that your boy DT, is like unto Nero. Okay, so it says here, that he was depicted as Emperor Nero at a carnival in Mainz, Germany. Which, if you look, he's playing the harp. He's got on a toga. Oh man, that's beautiful, man. That's absolutely beautiful. You know, Jake must have done that, man. You know, he ain't pulling off nothing like that. That's Jake artwork right there. All right. Anywho, Nero was a teenager when he became emperor in AD 54, but his grip on power slipped away during the 60s as one province after another rebelled. Chaos reigned in Britain, France, Spain. All those are Edomites, right? The quote unquote British, the French, the Spanish, and when you think about it, here in America, right, all these different places are named after British places. New England. I mean, what else, man? Also, all sorts of places are named after Britain. Birmingham. Right, the list goes on and on. Right, France. You got New Orleans. Okay, you got all these different. You got all these different French places. You know, and it's not important for me to name all of them, but you can look them up. Spain. Okay, you got Florida. Right. I mean, all sorts of Spanish. You know, it says here. Nero behaved as any demented, overindulged autocrat might. Desperately upset and angry at the rejection he was experiencing, he, nonetheless, as Suetonius tells us, made no effort to change his luxurious and lazy lifestyle. And yeah, man, you Edomites are luxurious and y'all are lazy as hell. Suetonius then describes him frantically coming up with one horrifying plan after another. His first idea was to order the execution of military and provincial leaders, claiming that they were all conspiring against him. Then he decided he would have every Gaul who lived in Rome executed. Demonizing one group according to race or nationality is not new. He went on to consider turning his army loose in Gaul, poisoning Rome's whole Senate at a banquet, or simply setting the city on fire. But before the fire should be lit, he wanted to release wild animals into the streets to make it more difficult to put it out. Trump may not be murderous, but he seems in a destructive mood. All he's got now is breaking stuff, uh, Mary Trump said of her uncle after he lost the recent election. One White House official told CNN that they intended to set so many fires it would be hard for the Biden administration to put them all out. Nero would surely have sympathized. Nero ditched his mad schemes not because he had an attack of conscience, but because he despaired of being able to carry them out. He tried to come up with a military strategy, but couldn't drum up sufficient funds with an emergency tax. A modern echo of this might be mailing your supporters in increasingly impatient tones to asking them to fund your lawsuits against the electoral process. But it is the description of Nero's final hours that Suetonius captures the essence of falling from autocratic power into powerlessness. Nero knows his time is up and has already acquired poison. He thought about making a public speech and apologizing for his earlier behavior, but he was too afraid to make the journey to the forum to deliver it, in case the people tore him apart. Do we see the same fear where the president seems to be in hiding, his public engagements all but over? Nero woke in the middle of the night and tried to call his bodyguards, but they had all abandoned him. He sent for his friends, but none replied. He tried each door in his palace, but all were locked and no one answered. He went back to his own room and found someone had removed his box of poison and even his bedding. He begged for a gladiator to come and kill him, but even that wish went unanswered. It is a desperate scene the pathos undeniable. Nero eventually managed to leave the palace in the company of a few slaves. Were they loyal to him in spite of everything? And those slaves were Jake's. Those slaves were Jake's, man. It says, or just too afraid to run away. He wept as he prepared to take his own life, saying, Qualis artifex perio. What an artist, but still I die. His delusions of himself as a great performer survived right to the last. This is in spite of tales of women pretending to go into labor and men pretending to be dead so they could be carried out of the theater when Nero was singing. Oh my goodness. Oh man. We have no way of knowing the accuracy of this story. And those could have just been, little tales and all that. But that's still funny, man, because E don't got no flavor. So listening to him sing, whoo. You ever listen to them, you'll be in the store, they'll be playing a song with an Edomite on it, and it just don't got no flavor to it, Anyway, Suetonius worked in the imperial archives under the Emperor Hadrian. So he had access to records that most writers did not. But he was writing decades after the events. He was probably born in AD 69, the year after Nero's death. Still, there is an emotional truth to his account. We feel the sense of desperation and solitude in those moments of Nero searching his palace for the men who used to jump to obey him, for the friends who have clearly taken advantage of his wealth and power, but felt no loyalty to him. Yeah, and through the Spirit, Nero put different men on. So different men were getting rich. Different men had military power, right? They had men under their doing their bidding, and so they basically used him, right? Ultimately, an autocrat can have no real friends, no real loyalty, because he has too much power. His relationships are necessarily transactional. Everyone around him is there because they want something. I raised the question about what difference there is between an elected president and an unelected dictator if the president refuses to step down when his time has come. In first century Rome, Slovakia, the answer is almost always an unnatural death. Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero were all killed or forced to kill themselves. This certainly resolves the issue of that particular dictator, but it doesn't solve the problem of a system which allowed and enabled them, right? Which is part of the beast. That system, all right? The beast is that system, right? The beast is NATO, EU, right? All of these emperors had men and sometimes women who helped them to become the monsters our sources claim they were. And I was watching this documentary about Rome, and I can't remember which one of the Roman Caesars it was, but one of the Roman Caesars, he really only took direction from his mother. He just really took direction from his mom. Like his mom would tell him, okay, do this, do that, and he would just be basically under his mother's thumb. She really was the one who was ruling over Rome, but she did it through her son, and I believe that was one of the last emperors of Rome. Just going to show that you taking advice from a woman is and putting her in that high authority seat. You know that, hey man, bullshit is gonna follow. Like this whole Harris and Sleepy Joe thing. Oh man, this shit gonna end in tragedy. You already know she don't know what the hell's going on out here. Her whole career is based off of basically robbing Jake. Okay. And and in the in her past life, man, hey, Harris, man, was in Rome doing something. She was a part of that women class of the political spectrum. Because even in the times of Rome, you had women in politics. Some were in a direct role, some were in an indirect role. It says, one one last emperor for you, Domitian, who became emperor in AD 81. Domitian was the scourge of the senatorial political class. He established his authority by setting himself against the political elite, of which he was, of course, the most successful element. His mercurial cruelty was legendary. Suetonius tells us he used to sit alone in his office for hours at a time, stabbing flies with a pen. He was much mocked for his baldness, about which he was deeply sensitive. He was notorious He was notoriously lustful. Too much libido, says Suetonius, crisply. Yeah, so you already know. You already know how he got down, man. You already know who you already know what Sleazy E had going on, man. He was doing some sick shit. Says too much libido, says Suetonius crisply. He didn't play golf, although he was a keen archer. He was eventually assassinated in AD 96 by a conspiracy of his friends and closest freedmen. Okay, and the word conspire means to breathe together, as the elder apostle goes into a lot, man. Elder Apostle Gabar. It says his closest freedmen. So those were slaves, right, who got a certain status after serving him for so long, And those were a lot of the men that turned on him. Those men who used to be up under his thumb. It says, there may be other ways to bring down a leader today, but the greatest threat to one who disdains the rule of law is, and perhaps always has been, those closest to him. All right, and that's true. That's true. Okay, I'm gonna end it on this. And all that dwell Slakia, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. So yeah, all of the other nations, they're worshiping Esau Edom, right? And they're worshiping his system. And 2/3 of Esau Slakia, and 2/3 of Israel, right, is worshiping the beast also. All right. Ultimately, the only people that aren't worshiping the beast are the elect of Israel. All right, and we're the hopeful elect. We don't know if we're the elect. We hope that our names are written in the Lamb's book of life. We hope for that. And that's something that we need to pray for. That's something that we need to look forward to, is being in that book of life. Okay, it says verse 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So yeah, we have to wait for this empire to fall. We can't force it like the zealots. The zealots were trying to force an overthrow. The Sakari trying, on some Assassin's Creed shit, trying to force this place to go down. No, man, we have to let the Lord do his work. You can see that these men, they're self-imploding. They're doing it to themselves. So all we got to do is continue to let this place fall and work on us. Work on our spirit. Continue to pray. Continue to watch the videos. Continue to look at the high holy days. Continue to follow the Sabbath, which is according to the new moon. Okay? Continue to move forward through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Show brotherly love. Continue to watch out for prophecy. And to follow Yahweh Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Harakak Wadash to the best of your ability. And you seek his word, through elders. There are men that are set up above you, and that's what it's all about, man. If you don't think you have elders, hey, man, then you're not right. You need to repent for that. All you guys talking about, I don't serve man. I don't give double honors to man. Actually, I'm gonna end on that. Oh, that's what it is. It's because I put the S. And sometimes, man, it's hard to find something in here, man. Cause it's it's in here. That's all right though. See, if you don't exactly spell it right, I spelled it honor differently. So it didn't allow me to look it up. All right, but anywho, this is the book of First Timothy, chapter 5 and verse 17. Let the elders that rule well be worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. So that's why we give double honors to the apostle elders of the Great Millstone, right? Okay, Elder Apostle Tahar, Elder Apostle Gabar, Elder Apostle Ramlab, Elder Apostle Rakah, okay, and the elders that came before them, you know, King Mashal, High Priest Arya, High Priest Abba Bivens, they're the ones who started it all, man. Who started this whole thing, bringing out this word against these devils. To them, double honors. May double honors rest upon them, man. May the Lord protect them, man. Those are very precious men. Okay, and the Lord finds them in a very special position, man. Here upon the earth, man. These are the top guys, man. Hey, Lord's will, they're some of the first to step on that chariot. They deserve that, man. Most definitely. Double honors to the apostle elders of the Great Millstone, Let me read that one more time. First Timothy chapter 5 and verse 17. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy. So they've been counted worthy, man. Pushing this word, man, never stopping, never giving up, never taking no breaks. Being out there, through sleet, rain, snow, heat, man. They was pushing out this word, I wasn't even born yet and they was bringing out this word, man. That's power, man. That's powerful. All right, it says, let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially, right? So you got certain people like High Priest Arya who he teaches something different. Now he's still worthy of his double honor, but especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. So especially our apostle elders who have stuck with this word, man, who have stuck with the doctrine, the same doctrine that Paul taught, the same doctrine that John taught, the same doctrine that all of the prophets from beforehand taught, man. And we pray in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakodash, that we teach the same word and the same doctrine that they teach. And this word is a inheritance that was passed down to us. You know, we have to continue to protect it. We have to protect it with everything that we have, with our whole lives, man. Even unto death. You know, in which they go into that a lot, man. You may have to be put to death for this truth's sake. You know, but that's something that might have to happen, man. All right, so hey, double honors to the apostle elders of the Great Millstone. You know, Kaya Harakak Wadash, to the Holy Spirit for resting upon me to do this lesson, man. All right, and hey, Barak call Akim to you brothers, man. Barak call Akim to you brothers. It's all about the brotherly love and spreading this word in sincerity and in faith. You know, and not bucking up against your elders, man. Don't buck up against your elders. You know, they're set up for a certain reason over us. You know, for us to learn from them, you know, and for them to guide us. Because Yahweh Shem Yahushai is guiding them, and they're guiding us, and we're guiding the younger brothers up under us. There's certain brothers that are, you know, 13, 14 years old that are watching these videos, okay? And they're learning from us, you know? That's something beautiful. And then eventually they teach, you know? That's absolutely beautiful. And they were taught. The elder apostles of the Great Millstone, they were taught by certain men, you know? So this whole word, it's all about getting taught and then teaching. So shalom to you brothers, man.